Kristen, and today I am in front of my Christmas tree to talk about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina holiday special, A Midwinter's Tale. Even though it is supposed to be a standalone holiday special, I do feel like it helped progress the storyline further with a bunch of things that we learned in season 1, and definitely sets up what's to come in season 2. Let's dive into it. So A Midwinter's Tale starts out with a throwback of Lil Brina and Lil Susie at the mall getting pictures with Santa, and I think this really kicks off the storylines that we can expect in this episode, the first being that Sabrina really misses her mom, and the second being that there are kids going missing around the holiday season. I have to admit I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to see more of McKenna Grace as little Sabrina, so I'm hoping that this kind of just opens up the gates for future episodes, that, you know, if they do some throwbacks to Sabrina as a young girl, that they bring McKenna Grace back. The flashback was just very quick and I would have loved to see more. As we get into the present day, we get to see the Spellmans setting up for the solstice, which is the holiday that they celebrate around Christmas time. During this time, the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, and I thought it was really interesting that we actually get to see some of the holiday traditions that the Coven participates in. Especially lighting the Yule log, it was cool to see that these traditions are actually really important to keep malevolent spirits away. There's also a lot going on plot-wise in this episode. We see Sabrina work with the Weird Sisters to do a seance, to talk to her mom. We see the Spellman family being haunted by Yule lads. We see Susie getting kidnapped by a demon. And we even get a big cliffhanger that I'm sure will lead into what we can expect in season 2. And I think something that people have been waiting now to see is, what is Sabrina's life like after signing her name in the Book of the Beast? Are things different? Has she changed? To be honest, I was expecting to see something a little bit different, maybe a darker or more sinister side to Sabrina, but things seem pretty much business as usual, other than her hair is white instead of blonde. I was also a little bit confused by the fact that it looks like Sabrina's still attending Baxter High. You know, I thought that she would stop going to mortal school and just go to the Academy of the Unseen Arts permanently, but it looks like that's not really the case. Maybe in season 2 we'll get to see a little bit more of what changes have come into Sabrina's life now that she signed the book. Let's get into the different storylines kind of going on in this holiday special. Let's start off with the storyline of Sabrina doing a seance with the Weird Sisters. I thought that this was great because I love the Weird Sisters, and I'm really happy to see that Sabrina and them are friends now. The girls contact Sabrina's mom because she wants to know why she saw her in limbo. Obviously that means that she has unfinished business, she can't move on. What is keeping her in limbo? And to be honest, I felt a little bit mixed about the storyline. I thought it was a really cool idea to bring Sabrina's mom into the picture and get a chance to find out what's going on from her perspective, but I feel like they didn't really take advantage of that. At first I wasn't even sure if this was really Sabrina's mom. I was like, maybe this is a weird malevolent spirit that is coming into the picture trying to mess with them. But it turns out it is her mom, and the reason that she hasn't been able to move on is because she has been worried about Sabrina, afraid that, you know, she's not getting the love and protection that she needs. But when her mom sees that she is fine, she's able to move on. I just felt like that was a bit of a cop-out, you know? There are so many questions that we have, and I think that they could have used Sabrina's mom to answer some of those. There's so many questions behind Sabrina's parents and their death, and what they really wanted for her in the future, and they just didn't address any of those things. So I just thought that that was a missed opportunity, you know? We could have really gotten some meaty questions answered, and they kind of just skimmed it. Sabrina does also use this opportunity though to ask her mom about the situation with Harvey and her friends now knowing that she's a witch. She basically says that she went down the path of darkness as much as she possibly could with Sabrina's dad, but she doesn't recommend it. And we also get to learn what Harvey really thinks about Sabrina being a witch. He doesn't trust it, he doesn't want to be involved in magic, but even though he's told Sabrina multiple times that he doesn't want anything to do with it, she doesn't really seem to get the hint. You know, obviously things got really crazy in season 1 with Harvey's brother, but it seems like Sabrina doesn't really learn her lesson in this holiday special as well. She gives Harvey some enchanted pens for his art, and she uses magic eggnog to get Harvey's dad to stop drinking. It was actually kind of devastating to see how Harvey kind of rejected Sabrina in this episode because, you know, we know that she is doing these things out of the kindness of her heart because she cares about her friends and she wants to help Harvey. But at the same time, I totally get his fear and mistrust of magic. You know, he went through a lot, and this stuff seems really dangerous. So that was like a moment where I was kind of like, oh man, the feels, because you totally get what Harvey is saying, but at the same time, you know Sabrina her heart is in a good place. It's really hard because this is something that is part of Sabrina. This is not something that she can change about herself. So I think that's definitely something that's going to be addressed more in season 2, and I'm very interested to see how Harvey and Sabrina handle the situation, because there does look like in the teaser trailer some moments where maybe they do get back together or have some type of maybe love triangle going on between Harvey, Nick, and Sabrina. So I think maybe at some point they'll be able to reconcile, but I mean right now it looks like a pretty tough situation. I'm also curious to see how the friendships that Sabrina has with Roz and Susie will be affected by her being a witch as well, because in this episode they both kind of seem like they're just not ready to deal with that whole situation. Next up, due to a spell by Miss Wardwell, the Spellman's protective Yule log fire goes out, allowing mischief-making child ghosts to come into the house and wreak havoc. We didn't really get much of Miss Wardwell other than that in this episode, but I have to say I just really love the Spellman family gingerbread house that she had, and how all of the gingerbread people looked like the OG Sabrina characters from the Archie comics. I thought that was so cool, and then to see her bite off Sabrina's head, I'm like, ooh, something's coming. Like, season 2, get ready, Miss Wardwell is coming with a vengeance. And it's just really interesting because we know Miss Wardwell has it out for Sabrina, but nobody there realizes this yet. It's kind of like fun but frustrating to be on that side where like we know what's going on but the rest of the characters don't, because I just want to be like, Sabrina, come on, get it together, this woman is out to get you, and you know, they're just gonna have to find out eventually on their own. But because of Miss Wardwell, the Yule lads are able to get into the Spellman house. This is kind of a story that comes from Icelandic folklore. The Spellmans need to call the Yule lads witch mother Gryla to get rid of them and almost get the baby that they stole from Father Blackwood, who they named Baby Letitia, stolen by a whole other witch. Ultimately, Gryla is able to help them with another situation, and they decide that at the end of the holiday season they're going to send Baby Letitia to live with this old witch who lives in the woods to keep her safe. So it seems like the show was kind of like, oh, we know that working with a baby can be a little bit difficult, so let's have it so that she's out of the picture, but we can still get back to her if we need to. Let's get into the next plot point, which is around Susie, who is playing Jingles the elf at the mall for Christmas. This was this fun after-school job for Susie, but let me tell you that holiday overtime is not worth it when you're getting kidnapped by a demon. So she ends up getting kidnapped by the mall Santa, who it turns out is really a demon who dips kids in wax to create wax figures for his Christmas displays. That is pretty horrifying. What is this, House of Wax? I think this actually could have been a really interesting storyline for this episode, because it was also what was set up at the very, very beginning in the flashback, but I feel like they just didn't have enough time or didn't focus enough time on this story to really give it the impact that it could have had. It was just such a small part of the story, and then when they send Gryla, who is like kind of this protector of children, to go save Susie, it was just so anticlimactic. It was like too easy to defeat this demon. Although I have to say, when she had her Festival of Lights with the candles dripping all over that demon, that was a little bit terrifying. And finally, let's get into that cliffhanger for this episode. We see 3 men who kind of look like they could be like demonic versions of the 3 wise men coming out of the mine, and then the episode ends. And I think that this is probably going to be something that they address throughout season 2, but the way that this kind of cliffhanger came about, it was so abrupt that I was like, wait, is there more episodes for this? Like, is there gonna be a part 2 of the Christmas special? When it comes down to it, I did really like this holiday special, but at the same time, I feel like they were trying to do too much in not enough time. I think because of that, this episode really struggled in figuring out what it wanted to be. Like, does it want to be a standalone holiday special, or does it want to progress the storyline forward? I think it wanted to do both, but it just didn't have enough time to do it. Like, I would have loved to see this be extended to be a half hour longer, even like a movie length. I would have loved that, because like I said, I think they touched upon so many different things, they just didn't give them enough time to really dive into everything. I would love to know what you guys thought about A Midwinter's Tale. Leave a comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button, because I come out with new videos every week. See ya!